offer my life experiences so that maybe someone doesn't have to go through something that I went through. When I left abroad, I had $10,000. I looked at my account and I didn't have any money. My worth isn't tied to how much money I have in my bank account. I do not regret for a second my move abroad. So if I'm sitting here telling y'all move abroad, things like that, but I'm not offering you all the full spectrum of the experience, I feel like I'm not doing my due diligence as a content creator. This video is about my experience going broke in another country and how you can learn from my mistakes. Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ami, and if you are new here, my pronouns are he, him, and on this channel I talk about my journey as a young black queer trans expat and world traveler, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between on that journey. And on that journey, I share resources, insights, and more. So if you want to also live abroad, travel, whatever the case may be, you have the tools, the keys, and the gem. With that being said, if that sounds interesting to you, I'm gonna need you to go down below and smash that subscribe button real quick. So before we get started, this video will be broken into 3 separate parts. The first part is going to be context and disclaimers. I think that for me, I want to give a couple disclaimers just so if you are going to be below my comments, please look at the disclaimers. If you're not going to be one of those people in my comments saying unruly things, go ahead, skip ahead. Second part, I'm going to be giving a little bit of my story. And in the last part of this video, I'm going to be giving resources. I'm going to be giving either the things I wish I knew, some of the things I did do that helped me along the way in this journey. There's going to be timestamps down below, so if you want to skip to a certain part, you can, but we're going to go into the disclaimers. The first thing I want to say, me making this video is no way me encouraging or promoting anyone to go live in another country or to go abroad and go broke. I don't know how someone may get that from this, but I just want to make that known, like that's not my intention with this video. A lot in the travel and expat community, a lot of people like to talk about, having plans, having plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and that's important, that's good, and I encourage that, that's a good thing. I had a lot of plans set in place before I moved abroad, but I also want people to check and realize that number one, things are not going to always be perfect. Number two, things that are outside of your control. Literally, the pandemic showed us the utmost example of that can happen. But also number three, that it's okay. Basically, my hope is that we create more transparency and openness when talking about money and the realness of it, because yes, it is possible to move abroad and all these beautiful things, and it's a great thing, but let's talk about it when it's not the good, beautiful parts as well. And I know as a young person, that may be a little bit easier for me to talk about because I don't have as much shame or ego tied to these things. I feel like we should level it out to make sure that, so if I'm sitting here telling y'all move abroad, things like that, but I'm not offering you all the full spectrum of the experience, I feel like I'm not doing my due diligence as a content creator. Everyone knows that you can make mistakes. Obviously, nobody wants to make certain mistakes and nobody wants to be in certain situations, but it does not mean that we shouldn't be prepared and or have tools that if the mistakes happen, what are you going to do? I say all this to say that I acknowledge that I'm young. I acknowledge at all points in my ways I could do things better and things like that. And I think the only way people will go through things is if we understand other people's experiences. So if I'm sitting here telling y'all move abroad, things like that, but I'm not offering you all the full spectrum of the experience, I feel like I'm not doing my due diligence as a content creator. Obviously, that is with my own boundaries, that's within my own timing and things to that extent, but I do want to offer that perspective. Unless you have something constructive to give to the conversation in the comments, I would prefer you to stay out of them. With that being said, the last disclaimer I want to give is this is based on my experience. There may be things in this video you don't agree with, that you think are false, whatever the case may be. Everything I'm saying here is based on my experience. Whether or not you want to take it or not or whatever, that's up to you. Let's get into this video. All right, y'all, so this is a story portion. This is, like I said, the cliff notes. If y'all really want to know everything about my journey living abroad and when it comes to finances, comment down below, let me know. I can make another video. When I left abroad, I had $10,000. I saved that over the summer from working as a COVID-19 contact tracer. With that being said, I had that money, and the safeguard that I had in place was I left $1,000 with a family member. $1,000, is that a lot? No, but in my mind, that was enough money to, at any given time, from South America, Latin America, I could get a one-way flight or some type of flight to the United States. When I left the United States, I did not have a job lined up. After being abroad for a bit, I started a YouTube channel. And then we can talk a little bit about what I have done to make money. The things I've done to make money while living abroad: I have taught English in person. When I was in Ecuador, I taught at an English institute. I have done freelance work where I have done social media management for a nonprofit in the States. I have done my own freelance work. I've sold digital products. I have a YouTube channel which makes money as well. This is the ways I have made money as far as working. There's other ways I have accessed money, but we'll get into that. Long story short, specifically speaking about, I did not like go broke. Like, I had no money to my name and I had no idea what I was going to do about it until I was in Mexico. So when I was in Mexico, the first part of it, I was traveling around. Then I went to Oaxaca. I was staying with a friend who was gracious enough to let me stay there for free. And then I had to move out of there and then I had to find my own spot. So I found my own spot. I think I booked that place for maybe a week, 2 weeks maybe, I can't remember. But I remember at some point during that time, there was a day where I was just like, I looked at my account and I didn't have any money. I was like, what am I gonna do? That was the first time like I had gone broke. I was like, I don't know where my next meal's coming from. I don't know specifically what I'm gonna do, whatever the case may be. So that was the first time like that I had that feeling. Luckily, I can say I've never slept in the street nowhere, and that's not all because of me. That's because of the community and the people that I surround myself with that have not allowed that to happen. There's 2 times where I kind of went broke. That was the first time, and honestly for me it was a really depressing time because in my head I'm like, what am I gonna do? I had reached out to a friend. I was like, hey, can I just have like $20? I just need to go get some food, whatever the case may be. And luckily they did have it. And luckily I was living in Mexico. We all know $20 isn't gonna get you that far in the United States. So I was able to get a good amount of stuff for that amount of money. And I was good. I had already paid for my housing. So I'll say that day, it really put me into had to have a lot of reflection of like, okay, what am I doing? So after that happened, I was like, okay, I'm going back to the States. Like, you know, this is a sign. Like, if there is no sign out there that's time to go back, this is a sign. So I started the preparation. I started talking to folks about, you know, trying to maybe do a mutual aid to get some funds, whatever the case may be, so I can get a flight back. I talked to my mom, but long story short, it wasn't possible for me to go back home. The second time, so basically I wound up staying in Mexico City. I was supposed to be in Mexico City for a day. Then I was like, I found out I can't go home. So I stayed in Mexico City. Mexico City was great. I got COVID when I was in Mexico City, so that also put a damper onto things. So many things, like, and I want people to know, because I'm not telling the whole story, but it's like, there's so many things that like led to different parts of this story. But what I'm trying to say in all of this is that the 2 points at which I went broke, where I looked at my account, I was like, I don't know where my money's coming from, or I don't know where I'm gonna get something to eat, or whatever the case may be. Those 2 times were really awakening for me, because I was just like, okay, this is a red flag. Like, you know, like even before that, I was like getting worried. So it's just like, not only is it scary, but it's just like, I'm thankful for like the times that those things did happen, that I had community, including the ways that I made money, the way I was able to stay abroad as well. When I was in Costa Rica at one point, something told me that I needed to make a mutual aid post. So I made a GoFundMe. I didn't make a lot of money from it, but I did make enough money to kind of help me get out of a bad spot. And then also there have been times where people have just, you know, poured into me like, hey, like here's $20 here on my birthday. Or I also received a loan at one point from a close friend as well. All this to say, all this to say, I'm not making this video just to pour out my dirty laundry, because looking back at it, honestly, I have shame tied around it, but I'm like, shame is not something I necessarily want to hold on to in my life. Like, it happened. I'm human. Obviously, I've learned from it. Obviously, I'm doing my best in my life to make sure that doesn't happen again. But I also acknowledge that, like, it could have happened to anyone. All right, so this is the third part of the video. In this part of the video, I'm going to be giving y'all tips and or just some insights either I wish I had or I did use, or whatever the case may be, so that you can learn from my mistakes, because nobody wants to go broke, no matter where you are in the world. The first component of this, I'm going to talk about jobs. These are all things that either I have done, I've looked into. First one thing that you can do to make money abroad is be a tutor on Cambly. Cambly, you are basically teaching English to people all around the world. There's no time zone constraints. You can do it from anywhere in the world. All you just have to do is have some good lighting, a good Wi-Fi connection, and a laptop. You cannot do it on your phone. The reason I like Cambly, and if y'all want me to do a full video on Cambly, I started recently working with Cambly, but once you start working with them, you get paid every week. You get paid every Monday morning. The only downside about Cambly is that once you apply, there really is this unknown variable of when you may or may not be accepted. So for me, I think my acceptance, it took about 3 weeks. So I would suggest this is something you can kind of have in your back pocket if you want to move abroad and you're like, okay, in the off chance of something happening, I have this platform. You can teach a couple hours a week if you want, just in the beginning, or if you just want to use it when you can. I don't know what their requirements are, is like how active you need to be to maintain your account, but there's that. Like I said, if y'all want me to do a video, like a full review on Cambly, my experience with it, let me know down below. Another thing you can go on Fiverr. I tried to go on Fiverr and to start doing some freelance work, but it didn't work out for me. It didn't work out for 2 reasons. Number one, it would not accept my phone number, but number two, basically the time in which I needed money, like the amount of time it would have took Fiverr to give me money. So you make the money, there's like a 2-week waiting period to for the money to be processed or whatever, and then another 10 days or whatever for them send you. It was this long amount of time, and I was like, by this time, I'll be it was too long. Now, here's the thing. If you think about this ahead of time and set this up before you move abroad, maybe it could be more useful. But it's a great way. You can do freelance work. You make digital products. If you are good on the computer, do a lot of different little things, you can make some money. So I think that's another option. Other options as far as jobs are to do freelance work. There's some sites you can do surveys. I've not done the surveys, but I looked into them. I signed up for a couple sites. And you also can do things like, start a social media. You can, if you're traveling, you can make a YouTube account. And you can, once you hit the benchmarks, you can start making money on YouTube. One thing I will say, so a lot of people do go abroad, they make money, they go to different countries, they teach English, whatever the case may be. I do want to preface this. Be careful making money in other countries. Now, I did teach English and make some money when I was in Ecuador. Looking at it now, I don't know if I would have done it that way, because you have to be very careful when it comes to visas. You have to be very careful that you're not doing something that's going to get you kicked out of the country. Luckily, I'm all good. Everything's all good, but just be careful when you are working in another country. Make sure you have the proper visas, make sure you have the proper information on that visa, and make sure you have the proper, authority and or connections to your employer so that you can maintain a legal stay in that country while working. So another option I'm gonna give y'all outside of jobs, Workaway. Workaway is something I did when I was in Colombia. Workaway, I wouldn't say it's perfect. It's not the greatest thing ever. So in pretty much any country, you can usually find Workaway. Workaway is basically a work exchange. An exchange for sometimes your housing and food, or sometimes just housing. Just make sure you look and see what they're offering. You can work about anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, to have your housing and to have your food covered. This is something I think is a great opportunity. So it's like, I don't know, something falls through last minute, your accounts get frozen, your flight's not booked until Friday, you're stuck somewhere, maybe you can find a Workaway. To get on the platform, I think it's about $40 I paid for the year. I would say it's definitely something worth it to have in your back pocket as a traveler, because it's like, you may not need it, but maybe you do, and that $40 may save you. My next tip that I'm gonna give y'all is leave some money with someone in the States or someone in your family that you trust. Now, I mean trust in a lot of different ways. Trust like they're not going to steal your money or anything like that, but also trust that when you need that money, it's going to be there. The person I left it with, I was sure that I could call this person anytime, any day, and also that money is gonna be there. They weren't gonna, call me up. I wasn't gonna call them up like, hey, I need that money. Like, oh, I was gonna put it back next week, but I had to get my tires. No. In an emergency situation, you need to make sure that person has the accessibility to either get you that money. So like I said, I transferred $1,000 to that family member, and the day that I needed it, they were able to give it to me. The next thing I'm going to say, this may be controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. I would say another option you have if you're in a stickler, if you're in a bad spot, GoFundMe and or mutual aid. Mutual aid is very much known in the LGBT community. A lot of folks create mutual aid posts and mutual aid too. Sometimes folks need support in raising funds to get top surgery or other gender affirming care. Sometimes folks just like, hey, like, I've exhausted all my options, I just need community support. For me, before moving abroad, I had a real bad habit of being afraid to ask for help. And I think being forced to kind of, I don't know, I felt like I was put in a situation that I was like, I had to learn to ask for help. And so when I made my GoFundMe, that brought up a lot of shame, like, oh my God, I'm asking for help. But it's like, for me, I realize now I wasn't putting any shame or anything under any of the people that I have sent mutual aid funds to. To me, it was just like, I'm supporting and helping people I'm in community with. So I feel like, you know, people may say, oh, like handouts, like, personally, I don't see anything wrong with it. Me asking, there's nothing wrong, I think, for asking. The worst that can happen is someone says no. So with that being said, an option you have that you can do if you're in a tight situation while abroad, you can make a GoFundMe and have people that you love share it, or you can just make a mutual aid post on your Instagram or other social media, have people share it, and just say, hey, this is who I am, this is my situation, this is what I need for this specific thing, and people can donate it to it or not. But I think it's a valid way that if you need support, that you're able to get it, and I don't think there should be any shame tied to it. The next thing I want to say is definitely, I think more than anything that has saved me through this whole journey is my ability to build community. Because while there's times where I wasn't necessarily broke or I didn't have any money to my name, being able to be in community saved me. And I don't mean that like go meet people or build community for that purpose. I just mean community can be a really great and a really beautiful and instrumental piece of being abroad, especially if you're leaving everything you ever known and leaving your family. Community are going to be those people with you during the good times, the bad times, ugly times, everything in between. So for me, I think it's really imperative to build community, whether that's just to have community, but also for those ugly times or bad times where maybe you need someplace to stay. If something's going bad for them, you're there for them. If something's going back for you, you're there for vice versa. Because if any of those people ever have any issue and I have some funds or I have some resources, whatever, I'm going to extend them. Had I not had those connections and had that community to lean on in those times, I don't know what could have happened, because I think it's because of them. I never once had to sleep on the street or not have somewhere to lay my head that was warm, you know what I mean? So I think community is really important. Last but not least, the last tip I'm going to give is, this may sound weird, but don't forget, if you are in a bad financial situation, start canceling stuff. Because I had a situation where I was like, okay, I need to save money, and then I had like 2 or 3 things come out of my account, which is money I really needed. So just be very aware of like what is or not going into your account. It's something small, I think it's important. Everything being said, that's what I have written down. My reflections looking back, I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, I have to struggle to learn lessons or anything like that. But looking back at it now, these experiences required me to not only see my relationship to myself when it comes to money, I very much realized that I tied a lot of my identity, a lot of my worth to having money, which, I mean, going up in the States makes sense, but it's like, that's not what I'm trying to move towards. That's not who I want to be. My worth isn't tied to how much money I have in my bank account. My worth is tied to so many other things. So, but being in that situation and feeling so low and so worthless and things like that made me sit with, where is this coming from? Who told me that just because I have $5 in my bank account, that makes me any less worth of a human being? And I think that's something that was imperative for me in that moment, to realize that regardless of the money, regardless of anything, I am still a person that is worthy of care and worthy of love. While I've made mistakes, while I have had to, figure things out and navigate difficult situations. Let me say this. I do not regret for a second my move abroad. Do I wish some of the things did not happen? Do I wish I didn't have to navigate some of those hard times? Of course. But would I have, looking at it now, would I have not gone abroad if I know what I know now? Absolutely not. I would have done it again. Some people might think I'm crazy for that, whatever, but that's just my experience, and that's how I feel about it. That doesn't take away how difficult it was and how sad and hard and depressing it was in the moment to navigate that. That does not take that away. But I think from this video, I just want people to take away that I'm 25 years old, I'm young, I moved abroad. This video is so y'all can have tools to learn from my mistakes. I don't think that there should be shame or anything bad tied to having financial issues abroad. I forged a life for myself that I did not see anyone else my age forging at that time. No one else with my age and my identities, to be specific. So I knew that there was going to be difficulties. I knew there was going to be obstacles. I think I want people to take away that your worth is not tied to how much money you have. I want people to understand that it's okay to be transparent and to be real with people about, you know, their struggles with moving abroad. Because like I said, I guarantee y'all, there's more people out there that are either have struggled with money, have gone broke, have gone without, whatever the case may be, that don't talk about it. I promise you that. There are people that are living abroad telling people, oh my God, look at my life, look at how good things are and all that. And maybe they ain't got no money in their account, or maybe they don't have no money until this paycheck, or whatever the case may be. I just want folks to be real clear that just because you navigate these things or have to tap into some of these resources I did, doesn't make you any less of a person. And I don't think we should be tying our worth to money, which is, I think, my biggest lesson. I am just thankful to have the opportunity to offer my perspective, offer my life experiences, so that maybe someone doesn't have to go through something that I went through. I am forever and always sending all y'all love. Thank you for the space to be real, to be me. And thank you for the space to share my experiences and share my resources and tips that I've gained from my experience. I definitely plan on moving abroad again. Do I want to go broke again? Never again. For every time I've lost money, I've gained money again. So that being said, thank y'all so much for watching. If this resonated with you, if this helped you, if this gave you an insight or something that you didn't even think about, let me know down below. Make sure you check out other videos on my channel. And also, if you want to support me and my journey, maybe you can go down below, check out the links in my description box. And also, a big support will be hitting that like button for me real quick and making sure you subscribe to this channel for when I make future videos. Let me know if y'all have any questions. Send y'all love, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.